What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with the review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 15, Episode number 6. The episode is titled Rap Sheets and Old Beefs, you guys. Now, before we go ahead and just jump into this, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning your post notifications on, and also by sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss the Real Housewives of Atlanta, shall we? All right, you guys, so the first thing that I want to start up with is I saw this on social media all day. So it's been between Nene and Jocelyn. Jocelyn and Nene have been on my timeline all day. So we'll talk about Jocelyn later this week, but let's talk about Nene real quick. So you guys noticed that the episode opened up last night's episode. It showed our current peach holders, and then we flashed back to season 4 when it was Sheree, it was Candy, Cynthia, Phaedra, and Nene, right? Was that it? Sheree, Phaedra, Cynthia, Nene, Candy, and Kim. So it was those 6, right? And Bravo had basically just removed Nene from that, from the title card. And I know everybody, I saw it all over my timeline this morning when I woke up, that everybody was upset that how could y'all do that to Nene? Nene built Real Housewives of Atlanta. Bravo wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for, Bravo wouldn't be as big as it is without Nene, right? I know people have said that without Nene, we wouldn't have reunions, which that is absolutely true. There would be no reunions if it wasn't for Nene, right? The thing with Nene is I don't think Nene leveraged the things that she actually did for, the things she did. The thing is, I saw, like I said, a lot of people were upset that Bravo didn't put her, Bravo took her out of the title card, right? But what do you guys expect? Nene sued Bravo and she sued NBC. She called them racist and everything. And that lawsuit has not gone away. I think the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, right? I think I'm not. But either way it goes, that lawsuit has not gone away. If she so chooses to open up that lawsuit again, she can. So a lot of y'all are just upset and I just don't understand what for, but that's neither here nor there, right? But yeah, you guys, if you guys didn't know it by now, Nene is gone and she's definitely not coming back to her Real Housewives of Atlanta. The only way that Nene, I feel, could come back is if Andy is no longer at Bravo and the big wigs that are behind NBC and Bravo are no longer there. Other than that, I just don't think that Nene is coming back. But this episode, we open it up with Marlo. And you guys, for me, when it comes to Marlo, Marlo is completely delusional. Like, I don't have an issue with Marlo wanting to call Candy out. That's not something that I have an issue with, right? The issue that I then have with Marlo is the way she's going about things. And with her nephew, talking about her nephew, we'll get into it, but she's talking about dating. So she's meeting up with the guy and her managers who she met up, she dealt with last year, who she was talking about was there for her nephews, right? So she's talking about this gathering that Courtney is going to be having, and she brings up what, her situation with Drew. Again, like I said, I don't have an issue that Marlo wants to call Candy out and wants Candy to talk about the things that are going on in her life, right? I don't have an issue with that because they're on a reality show, right? We say that about Robin. We say that about Giselle. So we can say that about everybody across the spectrum, that if you're on a reality show, then show up and show your life. So I don't have an issue with that with Marlo. We'll talk about it later, but actually no, let's talk about it now. Marlo, like I said, she's very, very delusional because I feel as if Marlo wanted Candy to either pay for that young man's funeral, and here's the thing, there's nothing wrong if Candy decided to send a flower or to cater some food, right? That's not a problem, but she's not obligated to do that. And I feel like that's what Marlo more specifically wanted Candy to do, to send her something, send a flower, send some money, or don't sponsor some food. I feel like that's what Marlo particularly wanted. And again, like I said, it's just delusional. If we're being honest with one another, it's completely delusional. So we'll talk about Marlo a little bit more in the episode, but we're gonna pause here and we're gonna move forward, you guys. All right, guys. So next up, let's talk about Sonya real quick. So we always talk about housewives who don't necessarily have storylines, and Sonya is one of those, right? I, for the life of me, just don't understand what Sonya's story is because it feels like Sonya's story is piggybacking off of her story from last season, right? I know, like last season, she was talking about having kids with Ross, but the storyline is very boring. And then it's even more confusing when you talk about her sister. Because wasn't her sister one of the ones who was talking about she wanted to move out? But now I was confused listening to her sister talk in last night's episode. I was like, but ma'am, it sounded like you wanted to leave a few episodes ago, but now you don't necessarily want to leave. Like, make up your mind which one you want to do. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, what is going on here, right? I just really don't know what's going on with Sonya. And so let me say this because I know I see a lot of people who talk about how they dislike Sonya. I don't dislike Sonya. The thing that kind of blows me with Sonya is she wants to play a neutral person when it comes to the drama between the ladies. She wants to play neutral, but you're more aligned with Sheree and with Marlo, and that's fine. You can say like that's fine if you want to be more aligned with them, but then don't be trying to be friendly and buddy buddy with Kenya, Drew, and Candy, right? Because it just makes you look like a flip flopper. It makes you just it makes you look wishy washy, right? That's just how I feel. Kind of like how I said last week about Sheree when Sheree was talking to Kenya about what happened in Birmingham. So yeah, I don't dislike Sonya. I don't actually. Let's keep it a buck. I don't dislike any of the women on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Marlo is just somebody that I just don't see it for. Me saying I don't see it for her doesn't equate to I don't like her, right? I just don't see it for her or her storyline, and I wish that she would go back to being um, a friend of and no longer holding a peach, right? I honestly do feel like they are getting ready to bring Portia back. That's my personal opinion, but you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. Because Portia was on Watch What Happens Live last night with Sheree, and that was the question that she got. That was one of the first questions that Andy asked about her coming back to Real Housewives of Atlanta. I do feel that Portia will be back. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Sonya in the comment section below, you guys. And let's pause here and move forward. All right, guys. So next up, let's talk about Kenya. So we see Kenya and her friend Akila, right? So Kenya is getting ready to open up Kenya Moore Hair Spa, right? And I was like, you know what? I love to see it, right, girl? Open up your businesses. Then I was thinking to myself when she was talking about opening up the business, I was like, now, I don't know if this is a smart idea. And I'm going to tell you guys why I was like, is this a smart idea? Think about it. Because Mark also tried to take her house, right? And if you guys don't know, I believe she's currently in the market to sell that house. So, yeah, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm all here for the generational wealth, right? Have something to pass down to your daughter. But then I thought about it. I'm like, but then you got a greedy ass husband that wants that wants some of your shit, and this is acquired during this is something that you will be opening during the marriage. So I would highly implore you, Kenya, to go ahead and give Mark whatever he wants. Hell, if he wants that house, I mean, if you're trying to sell it, say shit, you want it, come buy it. Like if you really want the house that badly, come buy it from me, and I'm gonna give me another house, and then we can divorce each other, right? But whatever you do, Kenya, get your name, make sure your name is solely on that, and make sure that your divorce is signed and ready to go when it comes to Mark, because Mark Daly is a slimy scumbag that I just don't trust, right? Now, when she was talking about this, she was a wife for 5 years. I was like, really? You and Mark got married in what, 2016, 2017? But y'all ain't been in marital bliss that long because y'all been going through a divorce since what, 20? Y'all been in this divorce since before the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? It is what it is. I ain't got much else to say. Let me know what you guys thought about it. She did talk about Marlo. I'm not gonna beat Marlo over. I'm not gonna beat that dead horse with a stick right now because we're gonna save it for the end of the episode. But let's pause here and move forward. All right, guys. So next up, let's talk about Sheree. So Sheree, it ain't much with Sheree either. We see Sheree being a grandmother to Cairo's daughter, and she was in her interview talking about what a good dad he is. And I'm not gonna take away from him being a good dad, but the things that she was saying, I'm like, but that's what a father should do for his child. But okay, Sheree, I'm gonna let you have that one, right? But speaking of Sheree, so Sheree was on Watch What Happens Live. I know Sheree did an interview. I believe she did Angela Yee's radio station, the radio show that she has. Sheree's face. Sheree's face. She don't look the same. It's the nose. It's the everything about Sheree. So on Watch What Happens Live last night, Andy said, Sheree, have you had anything done to your face lately? And she's like, oh no, Andy, I haven't had anything done. I was looking at Sheree like, girl, a lie don't care who tell it. That nose, you touch that nose anymore, it's gonna be pinched. Like, Sheree is a beautiful woman, and I'm not gonna sit here and take anything away from Sheree. Sheree is a beautiful woman, but girl, the work that you're doing to your face, stop now, because you really don't look recognizable. Because when I saw that video of Sheree the other day, I really honestly didn't even recognize that was Sheree until I actually saw the the comments that was Sheree, because it looked absolutely nothing like Sheree, and I was like, oh my god. People said she looked like Hazel E. Now I ain't gonna go that far and say she looked like Hazel, but that definitely did not look like Sheree. Like, real talk, that did not look like Sheree. So that's all we got for Sheree. Let's pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, let's talk about Drew. Now, for me personally, when it comes to Drew and Ralph, I can do without these scenes, right? Because we all know what's going on between Drew and Ralph. That Drew and Ralph are going through a divorce at this current moment. So I really, honestly wish they would just kind of scrap those scenes, honestly. And Drew. Girl, I be trying to stick up for you sometimes, but then you open your mouth and you be lying. So one thing I will say about Drew is I like the fact that she is supporting her sons. If they want to play basketball, she's supporting that, right? So Drew. So I don't know where you trying to go with this whole thing of we don't say the word shooting in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and we don't say the word shooting. I don't know where Drew is going with that one, because I'm pretty positive people in Chicago use the word shooting. So, I mean, what do they say on the news? An incident happened? I'm pretty positive the people in Chicago say the word shooting, Drew. So I would, I don't know where Drew is going with that one, but we're going to let Drew have it. Not really, because it's a lie, right? But she's telling Ralph about the situation with Marlo, right? Once again, I don't want to get too heavily into this situation with Marlo, but Drew told Ralph, which he actually saw it when Drew and Marlo got into it at the concert that Candace had. Here's my thing with Marlo. I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna kind of pause. But here's my thing when it comes to Marlo. Marlo is upset that Drew didn't say the word shooting, but then she got on social media talking about it triggers her. How does it trigger you, ma'am? Like, I'm not understanding that aspect of how you're triggered by that word. Again, we'll talk about her nephew, but I just really think Marlo is putting 20 on 10 when it comes to this situation with her nephew. Is it a sad situation? Absolutely. But I just think she's doing the absolute most. But let's pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, we got Candy. So we see Candy, and so she sits down with Todd, right? So Todd is going over his pitch, his script pitch that he's going to be doing. So then she tells him about this event that Courtney has coming up, and while they're sitting talking, Kenya called Candy up, and so Kenya was telling Candy how she sat down with Sheree and Drew, and how Drew brought up the situation with Marlo, how Marlo was saying that her nephew worked at Candy's restaurant, and he met a guy there and the guy, ended up killing him, right? And we've talked about this. We've talked about this. So Candy definitely says that yes, he did work for her, but during the pandemic, he wasn't working for them. And I guess once everything lifted, I guess he didn't come back to the restaurant working for her, right? So the thing, like I said, the thing that's blowing me with Marlo is I just feel as if Marlo really wanted for some compensation from that, right? For Candy to send the flower, pay for something, pay for the funeral, send flowers, send some food, send something. I feel like that's what she wanted. And is she? I mean, because she's. We'll talk about that. But Candy said that she's a lying ass bitch. She's a lying ass bitch. And when it comes down to her being a lying ass, when it comes to her lying, she is lying. She's putting, like I said, she's putting 20 on 10 when it comes to this situation, right? Because the way Marlo articulates it is as if her nephew worked for Candy. He met the boy at the restaurant, either working there or just as a patron, right? And she makes it seem like he came back to the restaurant and shot him there. But that's not what happened. They lived together and this person killed him in their home. So we see all the ladies show up to Courtney's event, right? And I love the fact that Drew paid Marlo dust, right, when she came in. So when Candy came in, Candy wanted to immediately address Marlo. So Marlo was like, okay, well, me, Candy, and Drew, we can go to the side and talk, right? And I was like, why is Drew going to the side with you? Drew has nothing to do with this. Yes, Drew told Kenya, but you're the one that's starting this stuff, right? You're the one that's perpetuating this narrative that it happened because of Candy. You're making it seem, the way Marlo talks about it, you would think that Candy is the sole reason that her nephew is deceased, but that is not the case. Your nephew, and God rest her nephew's soul, right? I really do, I do empathize and I feel bad for them, right? But it's not on Candy. Candy even when they showed the flashbacks of when you came over to Candy's house to help Riley pack for college. She was supportive of you. Like, I just don't get where Marlo was trying to come from. Like, it's stupid. Because like I said, to me it feels as if Marlo wanted more from Candy. And Candy got upset and she was like, I'm doing this so that I don't choke you, right? And I understand where Candy's coming from. I feel Candy's frustration, right? Because you're trying to make it a dig against my business, like I'm running a bad business. Like, the reason why he's dead is because of me. Like, I'm the one that orchestrated this shit, which that is not the case. And I'm so sick of that with Marlo. It's okay if you. The thing is, it would be one thing if Marlo said, I reached out to Candy, I reached out to Kenya, I reached out to Portia, I reached out to Cynthia and Drew when my nephew died, because this is in 2020. If you said I reached out to the girls and nobody did anything, that's one thing. But you're saying one person, you're singling Candy out. But you see, my thing with Marlo is Marlo has never had an issue with Candy prior to her getting a peach. Only time Marlo and Candy got into it was at the season 4 reunion when, she was telling her that, she heard that she takes care of everybody, right? If I want to take care of every motherfucker in here, I could. When she said that, right? That was it. After that, it's always been Candy Yams this, Candy Yams that. You've been her friend, but now that it's serving you to come after Candy, now it's a different story. And that's my issue with Marlo. Like I said, I do feel bad for her, losing her nephew. That's sad and it's terrible. But for you to sit here and make it out that Candy is the reason that your nephew is dead is bullshit, Marlo. And I'm so over Marlo. It's like she's grasping at straws. And honestly, for me personally, I would be happy if Marlo goes back to being a friend of the Housewives. I was never one of those people who always advocated for Marlo having a peach. That was never JB. I was never one of those people that said I want to see Marlo with a peach. I never felt that way. I honestly liked Marlo as a friend of, because I was like, we see her in and out. Because honestly, when it came to Marlo and her getting a peach, I didn't ever think she was gonna really tell us what her real story was. And look at it. She still is not telling us what her real true story is. So if Marlo's is gonna keep on with this crusade of attacking Candy and making Candy out to be the villain, I'm not here for it, right? Like I said, I don't have a problem with her calling Candy out. That's not an issue. But my issue does come in with her making this one vilifying Candy. That's the issue when you vilify her. And Candy even they separated at one point, right? Now Sonya, I'm so like Sonya's somebody that's divided. It's been divided since last season. It's been divided. So what are you talking about? Like Sonya can go and can miss me with that bullshit, right? And Candy read off all them text messages from Marlo. She read off all of those text messages, and I'm just like, it is what it is, right? And I do want to address Drew talking about Marlo was aggressive. So, despite how I feel about I might not see it from Marlo, but in that particular moment, Drew, she really wasn't being aggressive. Marlo's hands were on her hips, so I don't know how she was being aggressive. Honestly, the person who was being aggressive was Candy, and rightfully so. I don't have an issue with Candy being aggressive, but that's really all I got, you guys. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and share the video, you guys. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.